Hello, my name is Chris and welcome to the Holeyboard Versa setup. Thank you for supporting the Holeyboards and for your acquisition of the Versa. So today I'm going to do three things. We're going to run through an assembly. I'm going to talk about some of the features and I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks to make your setup a little bit more optimal. So the only thing you're going to really need today for assembly is a screwdriver. If you have a pliers or a Leatherman or even just a scissors, that will also work just fine. That's mostly for the zip ties. So in the box, you've got the Holeyboard Versa. So let's get that out. There's a pack of 20 zip ties. You can put those aside for putting the pedals on. And then we've got the little hardware pack. It's pretty simple. There's 2 feet, the round feet. There's 2 small screws, and we've got 2 hex nuts. And these are the C-channel bumpers that we're going to put on the back. So the first thing is take your Holeyboard and you can just put it, it sits up really easily, it's lightweight, and just put it on its back side. And so I'm looking at the top of it right here. So you're going to take your small screw, and there's 2 chamfered holes. It's the hole with the little angled edge around it on each of the front corners. So we're going to put the screw through there. We're going to take the foot, the round one, and the flat part goes against the bottom of the board, and we're just going to push the screw right into it, and it will stay by itself. Okay. Then you're going to take the little nut, and this is the easy part, and you're just going to put it in the bottom of the hole, and you can see I'm just holding it on there. I'm not pushing, I'm just holding it with my finger. Take your screwdriver, and then we're just going to start twisting and go kind of slow, and you don't need to over tighten it. So hold your finger on there, and as soon as you feel it get kind of snug, and then just test the foot, and if it doesn't spin, then you've got it tight enough, right? So then we're going to take our second screw. That's it for the feet. All right, so we're going to put on the rubber bumpers. So the rubber bumpers go on the back. You don't need the rubber bumpers, but everybody seems to like them. So and they just kind of keep it from moving around or protect your floor. So we take this guy, and you can see there's a slit in one side, and the other side is kind of oblong. And the easy way to put these guys on, let's put your glasses on to do it, is you just kind of push one edge against the corner and then the whole guy slides on. Don't be frustrated if it takes you like an extra second or two. They're a little bit tedious, but I've done a lot. If you get one corner, you can slide it on, and then you can kind of put it wherever you want. Those are the bumpers. That is that setup. That's it, out of the box. All right, so the next section, we're going to go through setup. The first thing that I usually do is attach the power supply. You don't have to attach it first, but having done it for years and years, and many times, I find it's easier. People ask me all of the time, what is my favorite power supply? There's tons of power supplies that are good. Pick the one that works the best for you. Here's a couple examples. Pretty much any power supply will fit. And the way that there's 3 places you can put the power supply. You can put it, it's designed to go under the top shelf, right? So we can put it on here. I usually kind of cheat it to one side, depending. This is a Mission Engineering, so it's a rechargeable, which is pretty nice and pretty small. Or I'll put it so I can charge up on this side. We can put it under there, then you have easy access to your cables. You can also put it, I call it experimenter mode, and then I'll put it on the back with my 9-volt and 12-volt outs on top. And it makes it really easy to trade pedals in and out, and sometimes when I'm at home I actually just leave it set up like this. I find it simpler. And then this guy is rechargeable, and it's kind of easier to turn it on and off. And sometimes depending on you could also put it up here if you want. Some power supplies actually look kind of cooler if you have space, or you've made a much bigger board and you want it super simple just to route your power on top. So in the matter of time and making things simple, I just put the power supply on the bottom, find a good spot where you want to put it. I put a zip tie through it. I'm going to kind of go to the edge here. And you see how I cinch the zip tie up where the corner, when it comes together, is hugging a corner of your pedal or power supply. That is the fastest and easiest way and the most secure way of attaching them. And here's a trick that a guitar player called me up, and he's an electrician, and taught me for the zip ties. If you just have a scissors, that's totally fine. You can just clip it off, totally fine. If you have like a little pliers or even a Leatherman or something with pliers, you can even, if they're long nose, I'm gripping it straight on, okay? So I'm gripping it, and then I'm holding it tight, and I'm gonna twist just a couple of times, and it comes off, and then you can feel it, and it's super soft, and it takes off the sharp edge. That is the cleanest, nicest way to do the zip ties. So then we've got our power supply. We're all set, so that's step one. All right, the next part we've put on our power supply. The next part we're gonna do is start to lay out our pedals and tell you a little bit about what you're gonna need. So patch cables, there's a world of patch cables out there, and I used to be pretty specific for years, and I used Spectraflex. I have a ton of these, but I really like the flat cables that are coming out. D'Addario has them, Lava has them. There's a lot of brands that have nice cables. I would say it's not the place to skimp. When I've had a failure during a gig, it's been because of a cable or a tube, right? But those are usually the two things. So it's worth buying something nice that you're gonna use. One thing that you're gonna want that's kind of magic is you're gonna either want one of these, a 3-foot patch cord. This is right angle to straight. Often I'll use right to right. It depends what your setup is, because you're gonna need something to go from the bottom back up to the top, from the bottom left back over to the top right to complete your chain. Because we're gonna go in over here and you're gonna go back over here. I mean, you can do it any way you want. That's how I do it. The other thing that I just put a board together, and I like the build your own cables. These are from Boss, but George L has them, Lava has them, D'Addario has them. There's a ton of companies. You can pick which one that you like best, but they're pretty nice because I usually just do the build your own just for kind of one of my longer cables, because you can fit any scenario you want, and they're pretty slim and pretty simple. I route all of my patch cables on top of the board. So, we've got whatever we've got. Say if we started with our fuzz and it ends up being, I'll actually hook these up, but end up having this guy and this guy, and there's no need to route them through the holes in the bottom of the board for two reasons. Mostly because of damage. Like, the more you bend the patch cables around, the more likely you're gonna damage it. It makes it harder to set your board up and to change a pedal out, and things underneath it on the floor, whatever, can get kind of caught in them. So I see no reason to put, now the 9-volt cables for your power, I will route those through all the different holes, and you can route those through this. That's why I've got this nice channel down the middle of the Versa. It fits cable routing, beautifully. But patch cables are designed, in my opinion, for my boards, are designed to be just on top. So now we're gonna talk about pedal layout. What I like to do, we've got our power supply on, we've got our bumpers on and our rubber feet, we've got our cables at the ready that we need, we've got piles of pedals. Before you kind of zip everything down, I just like to loosely lay out where I'm gonna put it. And there's a couple of really nice features. A lot of time and effort has gone into the Holeyboards, and I've tried to make them as lightweight but as strong as possible and low profile. And it's one of the lowest profile to the floor. And the reason is so that it takes a lot less effort to step on the pedal. And what you can do on the Holeyboards is you can stagger pedals, which is kind of nice. So say you're gonna use your fuzz kind of a lot. I would put this guy down pretty low, and you can see it's basically almost like being on the floor. This is a JHS Milkman. It's got a slap delay and a boost, and maybe I don't use that as much. And then I could put that, up higher. I could put it anywhere I want, or my tuning pedals. I'm gonna show you, before we do layout, my personal board that I put together. I have a new band that I'm starting, and I literally just put this guy together this last week. And so you can see, I start with one pedal and play with it, and then I add into the chain with my amp and slowly back and forth till things sound good, because everybody tells you there's a right way and a wrong way, and there isn't. A lot of it is just magic, and some pedals play well together, some don't. Sometimes you'll plug something, you'll have a weird hum with a pedal, and just try plugging into a different outlet in your power supply, and that might take care of it. So my pedal board, you can see how I've staggered them. I love this freeze. My friend Jason had one of these on his board, and I was like, that is awesome. And you use it constantly, right? It's that soft switch, and it kind of holds the last note. So I've put this down low in the corner all by itself because I'm on it all the time. My tuner, I've got it set up so when I do turn on my tuner, it mutes the whole board, and I don't want it to do that while I'm playing with the band, reaching for something else. So you can see how far I've slid it up, right? So the vertical is just as important as the side to side. And I try to put this guy a little bit further because I want my shoe to be able to get to it wherever I'm at. Same with the conspiracy theory. That's kind of an on-off, you know, just like little tasteful solos here and there. My EP booster, I actually leave this, I like it first because I think it sounds the best when the signal's right into it. And depending on the guitar, if I play a single coil, I leave it on all of the time. And if I play with humbuckers, I actually don't use it. So it's kind of off by itself, kind of in the middle. And then I've got my trem up here. And this is also a trem, but it's actually, I also just like, one of the things that you can do with the Holeyboards, because the hole pattern is just like we can go up and down and stagger them for ease of use. You can also have a little fun. I mean, I like putting this guy on the headlights, come on. People enjoy the Mystery Machine. Sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't. But the idea is, live a little. Sometimes I put little sculptures or something like that on it. Back to our setup here. Take your pedals. The nice part of one of the features of the Versa is that it can do tiny stuff very well, and it can do big stuff really well. People had a lot of questions on, well, I'm a terrible wah player. I don't know if you figured it out. I can't make it sound good, but I own like 3 of them, and I try. And so sometimes I have a wah, and sometimes I don't. And so that guy can kind of fit when you need it. I love this pedal, Janice from Walrus. Huge stuff, can fit any space that you want to put it in any order. So what I basically do is start with, you start with your one pedal there. Usually it's a drive or a boost of some sort. And then I'll do one like we did on the bottom, and then you can obviously do the rest. The first thing I do is, say we're gonna do this SL drive first. So pick the spot where you want it vertically and pick the holes like kind of right and left that makes sense. These little holes fit perfectly right now. Take our zip tie, and on the zip ties, there's 2 sides, and the end that's flat is the end that it goes in. And if you have it upside down and you try to do it, it won't actually zip, so you'll figure out that you've done it the right way. So it goes in this flat flush side. That's how it's going to go in. Kind of what I do is I put you can do it 2 ways. If you want to be ultra discreet, you can zip it on the bottom of the board, or you can just zip it on the top of the pedal. I mean, honestly, it depends. Usually for my videos, I zip it on the bottom, and then when I'm actually at home, I just zip it up on the top. I'm going to zip it on the top today just to make it easier to show you how I attach it. So I'm putting the zip tie around, I'm tightening in, and I'm putting it nearish the edge, okay? And you can see when it's getting tighter, and then I want it to tighten over the edge, right? Just like, kind of like that. And then this slides nicely underneath this volume. I'm gonna take my pliers like we were talking about before, and I'm gripping on tight to it, and I'm just gonna give it a couple spins, and it comes right off, and it's super soft. And that's my my SL drive is thusly attached. And then then you can go from there, Put your pedals over. I do them one by one. When we get to this pedal over here, that's where you'll take either, cord one that you've built, or you've got this cord right here, and it can go right underneath through the channel or underneath to get up over here. So that's it for the pedal setup. Okay, I've jumped forward in a little bit because I want to show you. You can put your pedals on in any order that you want, but I want to show you a critical part is we start over here, and then when you get to this last pedal, I've put just my my ZVEX Fuzz Factory right here, and it's going from this apart to over here to our second chain up on top, and often I'll end up with more kind of drive-ish kind of pedals down here and more time-ish delay-based things up here, just because, you know, in general that works well, but you know, you can try out anything you want. I would also say feel free to experiment with your tuner. So everybody, I don't know, for years people are like, always put your tuner first, and I never put it first anymore because I think it interacts really well. Sometimes on the overdrive pedals for sure, or the boost if they're right to your amp, or your fuzz is actually a great one to put first. So anyway, I want to show you how to go from here to here. So I've got my fuzz, and then I'm going to show you two things at the same time because it's important. So this is my favorite delay in the whole world. My Maxon 8999, I got this like 10 years ago at least, and I love it. It's a Bucket Brigade delay. So when you have big pedals, the first thing we're talking about is zip tying big pedals. I'll get questions and people say, well, I want to put this big pedal on, but the zip ties that you sent aren't long enough, so they don't fit. And like, oh, this actually technically would, but we'll just say it doesn't. So the easy thing you do is just put you just zip tie put two zip ties together. So I'm gonna go to the flat part, right? And then voila. And then I've got, rather than a 14-inch, I have a 28-inch zip tie, right? So then I can tighten both down. You got two zip ties. Oh yeah, that's on there really nice. I'm gonna quickly do exactly as we've been talking about with a couple quick turns, right? So now we've got, we use two zip ties. We showed how to attach something that's big on. You can any size that you want, super strong and stable, you know. And then what we're gonna do is put on the cable. So I need to go from here to here. And so that's why I make these cables. And it works really well, but you could use this 3-foot too. And then this they have designed it so that you can bend it to 90 if you would like, which I would like. And I'll put that there. And then, you know, you can route it however you're comfortable with, but that's why there's so many holes. This channel that I've made, the whole idea is to put cables through it, and they're out of the way. So I'm gonna tuck it in there. It's kind of just riding in there, so it's like nice and safe, right? It's not bothering anybody. And then I'm gonna bend it at 90, right there, and there. So that's got our little S, and then that allows you, you know, whatever size board. And if later in the video I'm gonna show some layouts on if you put two or more Versas together, which you can do easily, then obviously this bottom one is, you know, another 12 or 13 inches over, and then you just want a longer cable, right? But you can do the exact same thing. So super important. So that's basically setup and layout. You've got a Versa and you've filled it up as the natural progression of things, and you would like some more space. So if you either ordered a 2-pack to start with, or you just bought an additional Versa with the Z connector, this would also come in the hardware pack. So this is the Z connector right here. It's my little part that I designed. And there's 4 small screws. And these are called Keps nuts, K-E-P-S, and they have a little jagged, rotating kind of a lock washer that comes with them. Keeps everything super secure. So I'm gonna extend this board and I'm gonna put it on this side right here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Z connector, okay, and I'm gonna turn the board over, and I'm gonna just lay it on there with the holes. I'm gonna put a screw through the holes. And it's the second set of chamfered holes. There's 2 holes that are chamfered right near the side right there. So I'm gonna just hold it on with my finger upside down. This is the easy way to do it. So I'm holding it with my finger, and I'm just gonna just put the Keps nut on, and it just has to be finger, not even tight, right? Just on there. And then I'm gonna put my second one through. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm holding it with my finger below, and I'm just, again, you don't want it all the way tight because you want a little bit of adjustments to make sure that they connect. So then we'll take these 2 are here, unplug this. I mean, honestly, if I was expanding, I would probably just take all of the pedals off, but you know, actually we might as well do that. A good, easy way to take pedals off, take your same pliers, and if you just twist on the little block, it comes right off. It's a handy, changing things in and out. So this is gonna connect exactly like that, right? So easy way is to put them both up on their back. Take my screw from the top. I'm gonna do the same thing that I was doing when I was holding it underneath. And the Keps nut, as you can see in the close-up, the little jagged washer is the part that goes against the metal, okay? So that's the part that's keeping the nut from coming loose. And it actually holds it pretty snug too, so that when we tighten it, we really only need the screwdriver. We don't need to hold it with a pair of pliers or a wrench or something like that. That's the reason I use Keps nuts. They're fantastic. And so and then I just take I'm just holding it with my, you don't have to press it super hard, just holding it, keeping it from spinning. It doesn't take much pressure. And I'm turning this, and you can get this really tight. And then all of the hardware on the Holeyboards is stainless steel, so you're not gonna strip it out easily. Why skimp on the small things? You can tighten it. So all it takes is you'll start to turn it, and then you'll feel the Keps nut grip, and then it'll get nice and tight. And then, voila, you then have went from a 13-inch Holeyboard Versa to 26 inches easily. You've got a ton more space to lay out pretty much any of the stuff that you've got, big or small. And you can add, another one on. I mean, if you wanted, if you're like more of a studio board, you could easily add on another section. I get a lot of people, this is mine, who want to do a switcher, and there's plenty that are a little smaller. This is the Carl Martin OctaSwitch that I've had for years, and this could fit easily across the top, and you lay your pedals right behind it, and then you can set up your switcher. So that's to go from something that's perfect for the person with their first one or two pedals to a incredibly advanced setup. That's kind of nice what the Versa can do. So thank you for supporting Holeyboards and for trying them out. And if you have any ideas or thoughts or questions, you can shoot me an email, chris@holeyboardpedalboards.com. Enjoy. Cut. So now we're going to talk about pedal layout. I did say.
Don't look at me.
Okay. All right, we'll do it one more time.